Somewhere else, the director of the World Force SEAL arrives at the front gate of the prison with the battalion he brings along behind him. They are picking up faint traces of a combat setting that triggered a level 8 emergency warning. Strangely, there is no trace from the fight of it. The officers then bring a guard who claims there was no fight or anything. All he witnessed was that some naked weirdo caused a little trouble. The director then asks whether the naked weirdo caused some trouble or anything, but the guard is adamant as he states the weirdo simply just grabbed his sword. The officer is angry toward the guard for bringing such nonsense in a time like this, but the director holds him off as he asks whether there is a video. The guard then shows them an action cam footage that has some kind of static error the moment this naked weirdo grabs his sword. The director knows that is precisely when the World Force was detected. The officers gathered here are in panic, knowing that a naked weirdo causes an 8 warning level simply by grabbing his sword. But the director knows better. There are so many warriors who defy imagination in the abyss, so he can't draw any conclusion yet. Even just last month, there was this awakened boy who managed to escape from the followers of a high-level god and vanish. The director then wants the guard to explain why the video quality is so poor, but the guard has nothing to offer as an explanation. He then wonders if this could be video interference. Then he must be an elite-level god at least, or in the worst-case scenario, he might even belong to the 7 divinities. But if he were that powerful, they would have noticed at the checkpoint. That instant, the director asks his officers to gather all checkpoint inspectors who have experienced unusual incidents in the last few days. Before long, one officer brings another person to discuss with. This inspector reports there was recently a usual agent who went around naked, saying it was his worldview. All he knows is the naked weirdo was a beginner, and his god was a low-level god, so he didn't really think much of it. The director then tries to confirm whether his god by chance named Anderson, and the inspector says that's right. Gloom falls on this old man, as he asks where the weird agent was last seen, and the inspector reveals that it's at the entrance to the metaverse. The director then thought of amazing how things change over time. The young people today haven't heard the naked Anderson. If this weirdo really is an agent of Anderson, then Caspian might be headed for a real disaster in the near future. Jaehwan and Leonard make their way to the metaverse, as Anderson warns Jaehwan that determination will only get him so far here. On top of that, they are bringing a child with them. Right after, she swears to not help him as he has been warned. Just a moment after she said that, Jaehwan came across a crossroad and took the wrong way. The duo then bicker back and forth. Anderson becomes the mad guide, while Jaehwan is the stonehead. After Jaehwan reaches a certain point in the hallway, a sudden notification appears before him. Because he is an awakened one, the system interface doesn't recognize him. Anderson then lends her vision so he can read it. If not, they will be in serious trouble. The message informs Jaehwan that he entered bus stops number 1 through 5. He then scans around him, but fails to see anything despite the notification informing him that he is on the first floor. Out of a sudden, the seemingly endless void lights up block by block, surprising Leonard. With it, the change brings a blinding light, making Jaehwan try to cover his eyes. Another sudden notification appears, saying that he is currently a passenger on the first floor of the metaverse. As if they are teleported, they arrive in the metaverse looking like a character from a retro video game. The notification informs him that he is currently in a safe zone. It explains his world force is displayed in real time, and anyone may see it. Apparently, Jaehwan has not yet been assigned a ranking, as the system is trying to measure his. They will display his world force as a number, just like how mana in video games. Unfortunately, the system fails to measure his world force, while Anderson guesses that is because he is an awakened one before she tells him to see the other screen consisting of the passenger rules. 1. The metaverse consists of 10 floors in total. One may advance to the next floor by completing the challenges on each floor. 2. One can earn trust by completing challenges. Trust can be used to purchase items and upgrade one's worldview. 3. Resident passengers may use stations to travel to the floor below them, but if one descends more than 1 floor below one's current level, a penalty will be given. 4th, one may get off the bus by pressing the stop bell on each floor. However, if one gets off the bus on the 6th or higher floor, one must pay a fee of 1,000 trust and will lose half of the trust earned on the bus. 5. Only 9 people are allowed to reside on the 9th floor. These people earn the right to attempt the final floor. 6. Passengers who reach the final floor may ask the driver, the master of the metaverse, for one wish. That's all pretty basic stuff, Jaehwan thought. There are basically 3 things he needs from this tower. One is to rescue Yunhuan from the tower's 7th floor. The second is to experience firsthand how God fights. Lastly, to find a clue that Malak left behind about how to reach the end of the Tree of Illusion at the top of this tower. According to Malak's Abyss record, he passed through this tower as well. Out of nowhere, a green-haired girl appears while streaming and greeting her audience. She introduces herself as Renee, streaming about another attempt to climb the metaverse. Jaehwan wonders that such a thing exists in this world, as someone comments that she resembles Siren. Apparently, she comes here to milk the 2 newbies who just arrived at this tower to climb it. This makes Jaehwan fume in anger as Leonard tries his hardest to hold him back. Right after, Renee comes over to him, asking for an interview for her stream. With it, she gives her 100 trust and promises to give him more if she likes him. Leonard excitedly begs for him to go at it, while Anderson also wants him to do it since he robbed her whole wallet to enter. Renee then shoves her mic to Jaehwan's face, as she asks all sorts of questions. In the end, Jaehwan agrees to the interview, revealing his reason for climbing the tower is to save his friend. Renee comments on how touching it is for Jaehwan is risking his life to save his friend with her obnoxious streamer personality. The gods watching her show are suspicious that Jaehwan is a setup for the sake of content, while some think that at least he is handsome. She then offers him to join her and promises to give him support if he does. Yet, Jaehwan simply states he doesn't need her. She then explains that this place is dangerous. Even the normal route is crawling with dangerous people. Some of them actually take pleasure in slaughtering innocent people. They're the kind of people who don't even hesitate to stream themselves murdering innocent people. With that in mind, she offers him to join once more. Jaehwan then accuses her that she is also just the same as them, as he wants to know if he can trust them. She then praises him for catching up pretty quick. As he said, it's up to him to trust her or not, because if God viewers tell her to stab him in the back, she has no choice but to do so, she explains. That being said, she asks him to join her once more, with the promise to help Jaehwan find his friend. Right after, they converse a bit, and Jaehwan reveals that his friend might be on the 7th floor. Renee then explains if his friend is handsome, he might be sent to the higher floor up to the 9th floor. So she persuades him to join her, especially as a veteran like her. The chance of finding his friend will be higher. On the other hand, Leonard is hooked on the ads selling packages for newbies, while Anderson claims to not recognize it, since it was about 500 years ago she was here. Renee then offers to buy stuff for him, as he asks for advice on which one he should get. His eyes are beaming with excitement as she gives him stuff, while Anderson is telling him not to do it. Leonard is like a little kid being given candy by a stranger, while Anderson is trying to make Jaehwan do something about this. Anderson wants him to watch out for Renee, because she feels the energy of another universe in her, and she has a bad feeling about her. A minute before the floor opens, Renee wants to know if Jaehwan wants to join her, while Leonard is excited by how rich she is. The time for the first floor to open comes. They are bickering back and forth about age and whatnot, as they are being transported to the first floor of the metaverse. People are arriving with their normal appearance here, while Renee keeps trying to converse with Jaehwan. She explains this is a planet on the outskirts of a peripheral world. She adds how odd it is for a building to be so endlessly long like this. On the other hand, Jaehwan knows this is Earth. What he doesn't know is the Earth used for the setting for the first floor of the metaverse. Leonard reveals he has seen this kind of world, claiming he once peeked into a different worldview when someone became a hunter and kills lots of monsters in the setting. But Jaehwan knows it wasn't like that. What Leonard saw must have been people hunting for food. This makes him remember that one time Yunhuan told him about this. Back then, Jaehwan wasn't interested, so he didn't ask him about it, and now he wishes he asked for more details at the time. Renee then explains that in this kind of worldview, he mostly just slays monsters, a nice and simple concept. The difficulty depends on the kind of monsters they need to kill, of course. But if the monsters are weak, then it will be an easy win, she adds. After scouting for a bit, people start to realize they need to kill Goblin on this floor. That instant, they start running toward the Goblin they see, going for the first kill, and some that overly excited about how easy it will be. Apparently, there will be a reward for the first kill and for killing the most monsters, as people start to look for monsters to kill. As the notifications for all sort of achievement and reward appear one by one, Jaehwan simply stands still waiting as Leonard becomes unrest since his lord didn't start right away. Renee chips in, asking what he is waiting for since everyone else has already left. Jaehwan simply states that he is waiting for her, since she is a veteran, and he decides to follow what she does. She then praises him for it, as she recommends to never take action until the challenge for a given floor has been announced. The number of the monsters starts to thin out, making people who hunt them panic about getting into the ranking by buying a package or power boost scroll. A sudden notification appears, informing whoever tortures the Goblin in the most creative way will be given 3,000 thrust. One of them summons a water orb to trap the Goblin inside, pleasing a large number of gods watching. Another one roasts the Goblin with the question of how would the smell be after. This makes Jaehwan wonder what's gotten into them to make them behave like this. Renee explains at some point the Goblins have given them all a hard time, so everyone hates them. Before long, the challenge for the first floor has arrived, informing them there will be a mark on the Goblin that will give them a token. This confuses Renee because she knows usually there will be a trap in this kind of situation. She then suggests they split up and hunt for them, as Leonard is also excitedly offering himself to look around for some. Knowing what kind of a place this is, they seem extremely happy as they take off to their separate ways. Somehow, Jaehwan notices Leonard is getting startled by the corpse of a Goblin, and Anderson tells him not to worry. She knows Leonard is exceptionally good at running away, so he will be fine on his own. Right after, Jaehwan runs off with his exceptional speed to look for his own target as well. He needs to gather 10 tokens. The question is whether there are that many Goblins left. A sudden notification appears to offer a map that shows the Goblin respawn location. But Jaehwan doesn't need it. Using the power of the first stage of awakening, suspicion, and second stage, understanding, allows Jaehwan to see the whole place, leaving behind only living beings in his view. From how people fight the Goblin relentlessly and the Goblin hiding in the dark alley. But Jaehwan only focuses on the marked one, and it's not too far away. Somewhere else, a passenger named Aim Beast became the first to gather 10 tokens. Of course, he shows up to the people so he can show it off to everyone who is still trying. A notification appears, informing the people that a Goblin with 10 tokens has appeared. The people look at his head, so the fatty looks in the mirror to see himself become the marked Goblin with 10 tokens. Only then does he understand that the Goblin will be marked as the trap within this challenge. People start to come his way, as he realizes he'd become their target. The fatty screams in horror, while the gods express enthusiasm for this new type of Goblin hunt.